Report coming live every Tuesday at 7 with Steve, Cat, Ryan, Amanda, and Eric. And the voice of NEW, Vince Berry. Hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT? Handing out Smackdowns, follow on IG. Plus, it's sponsored by Tagging Your Date. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space. Now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats.
We're really glad that you're our friend, and this is a friendship that'll never ever end.
Where first of all, I still love the opener that your friend recorded, and then this whole thing. Yowie wowie. We got a lot to talk about.
It's absolutely, dude. I mean, I think we could really we could start this entire show talking about what took place with Bray Wyatt. I mean, that was probably the highlight of, you know.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So, you know,
I only got to watch a bit of it, like the first hour or two, because I had to work at 6 a.m., so I wasn't staying up until 11.
But listen, real quick, before we get real deep into it, I do once again want to give a shout out to, I'm just going to really give you his Instagram, which is also his Twitter, which is I am Adam Jordan. Follow him. It's I_AM_ Adam Jordan, one word. Follow him. He's for real. He is Apple verified. So he's no joke. He did our intro. He also did one for the commercial for the apps. And he just spits straight fire. I mean, he's really amazing. Check him out. He's on YouTube. He's on Instagram. He's on Twitter. He's on Facebook. He's everywhere that you can be on social media.
Yes, sir.
And he's absolutely phenomenal and just a great dude. And we appreciate everything he did for us. It's just amazing when you have that kind of talent, because I literally just gave him like 5 bullet points of things, and a few hours later I got that, and it was like, what do you want me to?
Wow.
And he's like, what do you want me to change? And I'm like, nothing. Nothing. Just do you. You know, it was just great. So thanks again. Really phenomenal, and we really appreciate it. Bray Wyatt, guys.
Yeah.
So here's what, this is funny. So earlier in the day, I'm kind of going through the feeds, you know, trying to see what the universe is shitting on this week, and you know, everything else. And I'm going through, and I see Bray Wyatt's Firefly Fun House is going to take a twisted dark turn tonight on Raw. Don't miss it. This is going to be the segment to watch, kind of thing. And I'm thinking to myself, the first thing I said is it not dark and demented already? So how, you know, further is this going to go? So I was definitely interested, and I've always been a big Bray Wyatt fan, and I've always thought that he's been underutilized, especially for his character. And, you know, it's just, I feel like there's just not much you have to do. Just let him do him, because he's so good. But anyway, so I'm sitting there and I'm waiting all night, and like, that's the one thing I want to say, love the fucking mask. And I finally, you know, we hear the intro, and I'm watching, and then it truly did take a dark, twisted turn. And I kept saying last week, the week before, one thing I kept saying on the show was, how's this going to translate to the ring? Like, how is this character going to come to life on Raw or SmackDown? Because the vignettes are great, but they're vignettes. So how's it going to translate? And now we kind of see how it's going to translate. And I couldn't be more excited. That mask is fucking creepy. And I don't know if you guys saw, but I shared in our chat that apparently, was it Night of the Living Dead or I forget which one, but one of those. Well, here,
and it's also loosely based on the Joker face from like Batman Year One or whatever it was, where the Joker they thought he was dead and they took his face off and then he stapled his own face back on his face.
Right. Well, it was Night of the Living Dead director helped create the Wyatt mask.
Yeah,
and right, and also apparently the Undertaker has been very influential into this gimmick and
good
and how it's going to. So I think that's just wonderful because we always kind of said if Taker was ever going to pass the torch, it would have to be Bray Wyatt, right? Because it's like the closest thing to the Undertaker. I'm very excited. I see great things with this character. It's kind of cool because they're gonna flip flop. You're gonna have this creepy Mr. Rogers vignette, and then you're gonna have this monster. Ultimately, come out when he wrestles, and that mask reminds me a lot of Muta too. I think like later years.
I can see it.
Like when he came to Impact, like he had like a darker kind of, that was the first thing but I'm excited. What do you guys think?
Yo, well, hell yeah.
I loved it ever since like he first came out with the Firefly Fun House.
Yeah.
I thought it was so twisted and weird and different. And I mean, I haven't watched Raw. I can't like half an hour in and I got to turn it off. But I do watch the promos afterwards of just him because it's so worth it.
Oh, yeah. I saw, because it was in England, somebody in the crowd had taken a video of it and leaked it early. So I watched that and I was like, I pretty much don't need to watch Raw. And then, of course, we get the fucking Bobby Lashley, Baron Corbin show. And anyway, we won't get into that. We'll talk about positive things. Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse.
That's all we could talk about then. We're talking about.
I know it's all we're talking about for the next 52 minutes. But what somebody pointed out early on in the first vignette was right before he took the chainsaw to the cardboard cutout of himself, he had those gloves on that came back out in this episode. And one of them says hurt and one of them says heal. Yeah. Now, if you remember in the first episode, he put them kind of to his ears. And the one that said hurt was the one that was talking to him. And then he took the chainsaw out. So it seems like those gloves might be part of his wrestling attire.
So he's bipolar, basically.
And he's going to decide whether he's going to listen to hurt or heal.
So he's listening to hurt when he's in the funhouse kind of thing, I guess.
I guess like it seems like he get, whatever word he gets from who. Oh, and did you see the rabbit the rabbit was back, but it was
like taped together.
Oh, it was great.
But it seems like they're doing a similar kind of thing with Nikki Cross now, because that was very bizarre too last night on Raw. And Amanda, you didn't watch, and I don't know, Vince, how much you saw, but there was a segment backstage where Alexa Bliss was freaking out because her bag never made it. So her wrestling gear and everything else was not there, and she had a match. And, last week she was embarrassed because her shoelaces kept on opening and she had to keep stopping in the middle of the match and tying them. So she couldn't go out there again and be laughed at and this and that. And all of a sudden, Nikki Cross shows up with makeup on and her hair straightened and looking very normal and very girlish, and has a normal conversation with Alexa and ultimately takes her place. Now, when Nikki Cross's music comes out and she comes to the ring for the match, she's the Nikki Cross we know. The crazy, no makeup, psychotic, screaming, whatever. And she wound up getting the victory too. But so it looks like they're going to finally start doing something with Nikki Cross, almost like a split personality thing, which is almost kind of what they're doing with Bray Wyatt. So it's kind of cool. I wonder if somehow maybe down the road this could turn to Nikki joining the Funhouse, because it seems like they're very parallel.
Well, I had a thought. Hey, before
what's up, Eric?
Thought, how's it going, Eric? He's Brian fucking Adams.
Is that what it says?
Yes. It's from the... He went to see Brian Adams the other day.
Brian Adams is a Canadian legend.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. I don't disagree with that. So my thought was with Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss was that it will be a She's All That situation. If you've ever seen the movie She's All That, where they take the nerdy girl and pretty her up, and then it, it's supposed to be humiliating. So or like a Carrie.
Oh my God, like Carrie.
Yes. So that's kind of what I'm picturing, is that Alexa's going to befriend her, but ultimately use her like she did with Nia and like she did with everybody that she's partnered with. She's going to use her, and then Nikki's going to realize, and then she's going to go Carrie, and then we're going to have, do you want to play, Alexa? Do you want to play? Let's play. And then we're going to mix up who's Drew and who's Nikki, because they both have that same Scottish lilt to their voice. Oh, can we hear Eric today?
Yeah, I just didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. You just haven't spoken yet. I was worried that we had another one of those glitches where we couldn't hear you, because that would be frustrating. We're talking about Nikki Cross and Bray Wyatt. So if you want to jump in,
dude, that mask, Jesus,
yeah,
that's scary shit, man. I love the commentators right after that segment ended, and they're just staring at like.
Yeah, I don't understand when they cut to the crowd during these things. It's like, I don't think they did it this week, but last week they like cut to a shot of the crowd watching the screen. It's like, we're all doing the same. We're all watching a screen right now. You don't need to show me
a screen in a screen.
Screenception. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Raw was there. It exists as a thing that happens for 3 hours on a Monday night. And
listen, I haven't been as critical as some of the others on this show. And even I have to say,
I missed last week. They must have been rip roaring. I didn't even
well, I urge you to go to our YouTube channel and listen and listen back. I go on a little rant at the very intro, and I'd like you to hear it so that you can next week maybe tell me what your thoughts are, what I said. And I did go on a little rant, and then we all did our thing. Plus, Big Heck made a return, and he had some things to say. So you really should check it out. It was a great show. And actually, if you are watching this back, you will see a card pop up with last week's show. You can just click that, and it'll take you right there. But
we're learning this YouTube thing slowly but surely, man.
We're doing our thing. But I where the fuck was I going now?
You said with your rant last week. What was
before that?
Hector had a rant.
Before that,
people were complaining about Raw, and you don't usually complain.
Right? Thank you. So I usually don't complain, and but I gotta tell you, man, even this Raw was pretty brutal to me. I mean, there were some parts that stuck out. Obviously, Bray Wyatt was obviously the best part of the night.
That dive that Roman Reigns did was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Roman. Yeah, that was cool. Miz and Shane, I'm enjoying that, even though that's on both shows. I'm okay with that. I don't know. It seemed kind of blah. I don't understand why there's still a big push on Baron Corbin. He got a big win. Ricochet took an L, which, right now his momentum. I don't see why Ricochet would take an L at this point, because he's probably the most over superstar going right now. And then we haven't seen much of Aleister Black other than these vignettes lately, which I'm kind of confused about, unless maybe he's healing an injury and they just don't want to say it. But we haven't really seen him wrestle since Mania.
Yeah, I don't even know what the WWE is doing, because, like, when you look on Twitter, you have, like, the most hardcore, loyal, positive fans are finally turning and not even being able to watch the show, which is so sad. Like, for me, I loved wrestling. I loved watching Raw. I loved watching SmackDown. I would cancel my plans. I would come home early if I had to go out just so I could watch Raw and SmackDown. And now I don't feel the need at all to even bother watching it.
That's sad. And the only thing I can tell you, which is what I said last week, you just got to, and I know I say this a lot, but you really got to give it a chance. Let things start to move, and I'll kind of reiterate a couple of the things that I said last week. You have the head writer of Raw was fired, so they realize there's a problem, and they're bringing new people in. Hopefully, they're going to be able to do a better job with some of the stories. You know, playing a little devil's advocate, though, like I said last week, they wanted a lot of the fans, the universe, wanted a lot of changes. They wanted Kofi Kingston to become champion, and they gave that to us.
Yeah.
The fans wanted Roman Reigns out of the main event title picture. They did that. You know, they want new and fresh matches. We're getting AJ Seth Rollins. We're getting Ricochet, who's creating new matches, and Aleister Black, and of course, the War Raiders, and so I think and Andrade. I mean, these are guys that are going to create new matches that we haven't seen, and I think we just have to give it a chance to start moving. I think we have to just get through Money in the Bank, and I think that's when things are going to start to move.
That's what everybody is doing, is that they're just giving them these cop-outs and saying, well, we got to wait till after WrestleMania. We got to wait till after this. But, no, they don't need to wait. They're a billion-dollar company, and they should be able to give the fans what they want and what they deserve.
Go ahead, Eric.
The funny thing is, oh yeah, go ahead, Eric.
I was going to say, I find myself, tuning out, and I'm reaching the point where instead of watching and complaining, I'd rather just not watch.
Exactly.
Yeah, they dared you to not watch for so many years. Like during the whole John Cena era, where they're like, we're going to push John Cena whether you want to watch or not. And people still people watched, but people tuned out.
But
And
that's also what they did, is they
did it to Roman Reigns too. They're like, this guy's going to be in the main event. And then people stopped watching. And they're like, what happened? There's a meme going around that's like, you wanted Becky as champion, you got it. You wanted Seth as champion, you got it. You wanted Kofi, you got it. Oh, stop complaining. Sometimes it's not the WWE, it's you. But
how is it us?
It's not because we bitch.
Let me say this:
consumers.
John Cena made an interesting comment. I don't know if any of you guys saw. His comment was, all the blame can't always fall on the WWE writing team. That sometimes it has to also be the superstars themselves' fault for not getting it over. Now, that can kind of be taken a few different ways, because partially, you could say that's true, that it's their job to get the story, the gimmick, the whatever over, whether it's hated or cheered, right? Because you just want that reaction. But on the other side, if it's that bad, how can they get something over? Like, we're not, most of us are not unintelligent fans, you know what I mean?
Like they're handcuffed a little bit sometimes.
And have people over these
the talent
and tag matches every single week.
So to speak to that, what you were saying.
Speak on this.
Arriba la raza. No, but in 1996, there was a wrestler called the Dirty White Boy, real name Tony Anthony. Went by Tony Anthony, wrestled as Dirty White Boy. He was hired. Yes. Thank you for knowing where I was going with this, Eric. Dirty White Boy, who was a Southern fucking legend in Smoky Mountain and the NWA. Dirty White Boy was known all over the South. The WWE hired him in 1996 and made him TL Hopper, the wrestling fucking plumber. He came to ring with a goddamn plunger and his ass crack hanging out.
Nice.
So, do you blame Dirty White Boy for not getting TL Hopper, the wrestling goddamn plumber, over? No. It's the same kind of thing here. Listen, I understand it's not that bad right now. Nobody is coming out as a wrestling plumber, but we're kind of close. We're just. It's not that nobody has a. It's almost like some people have no character. Because, like, what's Seth Rollins? He's the architect. What does that mean? I don't know.
He's just great in the ring.
And he's carrying blueprints around.
Yeah. But then they go the other way, the extreme way of I'll get another example. What is Finn Balor? Aside from when he's the demon, he's smiley guy in his tighty whities wrestling. Then they swing the complete opposite direction, and you have the goddamn Viking experience, where they're like, we have these big burly guys. You already understand their gimmick by looking at them, and they're like, no, we need to make it more obvious. Like.
And then you got Apollo Crews, who is guy that smiles.
Yes, him and Finn Balor have the same gimmick, just, palette swapped. That's like when you were playing No Mercy or WrestleMania 2000 on the N64 and you hit the C button and you changed from Mae Young to Moolah, but it was the same character slot. It's this, him and Finn Balor, they both do flippy shit and they smile, but, one's got a little bit of a tan.
The other thing I'd like to bring up is that, so they fired the head writer, but everything at the end of the day goes by Vince McMahon.
That's still the issue.
Yeah, but dude, the writers still come up with shit and then present to Vince, and then he says yay or nay. But, the writers are still, they're still there to write.
To change things like on the whim, like minutes before the show and shit like that.
And that was one of the things that I heard about the Raw writer that was fired, was that one of the reasons they were fired is that they would complain about changes being made to their script. Well, fuck, I would do this. I would complain too if you're changing my script an hour before we're going to go on air.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, apparently, Vince did an audible right before Raw went on the air and pulled Braun from the Money in the Bank ladder match. And apparently this is a part of a much bigger story for him, from what I'm hearing, but they're not elaborating on what that story is. But there is a bigger picture and a reason why Braun was pulled from the match, and now he's being replaced by Sami Zayn,
who 2 weeks in a row was made to look like a goober. 1 week he got thrown in a dumpster.
His promos have been
his promos are amazing. But then he comes out to wrestle and needs two other guys to jump Braun Strowman to help him win to get in the Money in the Bank. Like, it didn't put him over at all. If he found a way to sneakily get Braun Strowman counted out or, whatever the fuck, I don't know, something where he outsmarted Braun Strowman to get the win, that'd be great. He needed his bros to come help him out, which is a heel thing, and I get it, but
you knew that was coming.
I would have preferred
as soon as they said it was going to be like no holds barred or falls count anywhere or whatever.
Yes.
You knew that was going to happen.
There's always interference, and especially in situations like that where they're putting somebody's entry into a match on the line, that person always loses. It's like the U.S. has never lost a flag match, like Team USA versus the Russians or whoever else. The U.S. never loses, and if you're wrestling in a match where you are going to have your title opportunity taken away, you're guaranteed to lose that match. You'll still get the title shot one way or another, but you're going to lose that match.
Right.
And that's the other thing, is that it's so... Those are things that you rely on a little too much. Like, not to be Vince Russo and swerve everybody, bro. But if you did a situation like that where, let's say it was the other way around, Sami Zayn was in the Money in the Bank match, and then Braun Strowman challenged him for the spot, and then the swerve is, instead of Sami losing his spot, predictably losing his spot, he retains it through some goofball heel method, like he is a goofball heel. But little changes like that make things a little more unpredictable. It changes the story of things just a tad. It changes just maybe, it gives it a little color change. It might be the same car, but it's a different color. I don't know. I'm trying to look at this as, if I was trying to right the ship, what would I do? And it's not about...
Is there a train coming through somewhere?
Yeah, I feel like there has to be, right?
Motorcycle went past.
Motorcycle. There you go. I just feel like, aside from the writing, the wrestling, for the most part, when you put the right people in the ring, has been good. Seth Rollins always delivers. Becky always delivers. Charlotte is over-pushed and constantly in the main event, but she delivers, and that's the reason she's in the main events.
She delivers.
But
every time.
those two women's matches are indicative of the problem that they're facing. You know, when I say they go to extremes, somebody has no gimmick or they've got too much of a gimmick. When we say we want new people pushed into the main event, the writers go, oh, all right, we're going to take somebody who's completely unknown, bring them up from NXT, have them never wrestle, and now they're the number one contender. And it's like, no, that's not what we meant. We meant like, where's a mid-card girl who's been working for the company for 8 years, like, I don't know, Bailey, that you could push into the fucking main event instead of jobbing her out on SmackDown? Like, and it doesn't have to be Bailey. I'm using her as an example.
Like Ember Moon or something.
Right. Ember Moon could be, because she's been on the main roster enough and she's had some good wins and she's had some good matches and she's had classic matches.
She's got a great look.
Right. You could elevate her from the mid-card to the main event very easily and believably.
Or Ruby Riott.
Right, or Ruby Riott, Wooby Wyatt. That's all I hear is the Iconics doing Wooby Wyatt. But you take somebody who's in the mid card, you build them up. You don't take this unknown, and then all of a sudden they're the number one contender. And then on the flip side, for the other brand, you've got the girl who's been in every fucking main event for the last 3 years. It's like there's a middle ground somewhere that we're just not meeting. The temperature's off somewhere where they just don't understand that they can, instead of going hot or cold, they can go warm. They have to find some kind of middle ground with the booking.
And I wouldn't mind like someone like me, a legend like Mickie James getting a title shot every once in a while.
No, I think that would be wonderful. I mean, you bring back Beth Phoenix, use her. You know,
Mickie is in that Kane spot where she can fluctuate from main event to lower in the women's division.
You know, and they try to do that with like Natalya and Tamina, and Natalya is a way better wrestler than Tamina. But honestly,
I'm a better wrestler than Tamina.
Oh, absolutely. And you've got a better personality than both of them, because both of them bore me to fucking tears. And I like Natty, but I just think that being a crazy cat, as somebody who owns 2 cats and is a crazy cat person, that just doesn't translate to TV.
Natty's just a horrible actress.
Yeah.
And she's just not believable at all.
And they give her,
she's great in the ring. But
wasn't there like 3 or 4 weeks where she was farting on people?
Yeah, that didn't last very long. But again, that wasn't her fault. That was fucking Vince thinking it would be hilarious.
You get this? We're gonna have the Canadian girl fart on everybody. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
You know, I gotta say though, I feel like if that was done during the Attitude Era, we might have kind of liked it.
Farting?
Do you think?
I mean, listen, farts are inherently funny.
I mean, look, think about it. Well, Steve and I, especially, we were teenagers when the Attitude Era was going on, so we would have definitely appreciated that.
Yeah, but I also think it would have been a better scenario than just walking down. Like, it wouldn't have been Natty. It would have been the Big Show, and when he farted, they would have had a leaf blower off screen that blew Rey Mysterio down the hall, and it would have been funny as fuck.
One of my favorite moments is, remember that GTV stuff they used to do?
That they never ever resolved.
They never resolved. But you know, that's neither here nor there. But one of my favorite moments was when you had the Big Show at a urinal standing next to Val Venus. Val Venus looks over to his left and he goes, "And they call you the Big Show?"
Yes,
I remember that.
That was a great. Yeah, that was a great one. So yeah, I mean, and it's little shit like that. Now listen, I watch MLW on set. This is not this is not a sponsorship, whatever. This is just something I do on Monday nights around the same time Raw goes on the air. I think it might even be like a half an hour before. MLW, Major League Wrestling, on YouTube uploads their entire weekly program. It's on beIN Sports. If you have beIN Sports, just look it up. I think it's on Saturday nights. But they post it on Monday nights to get some traction from Raw. Now, if I don't have time to watch the whole show, I don't sit down and watch the entirety of a match. You'll watch the opening, fast forward, you watch the finish, and then you watch the stories in between, or at least that's what I'll do if I'm trying to get through a wrestling show. I'll unfortunately skip the wrestling to understand the story, so next week when I check back in to watch the wrestling, I'll know what the stories are going forward. So tying into my point about the WWE, the wrestling, as I said earlier, is fine. When you put the right people in the ring that aren't Baron Corbin, you get good wrestling. Or Tamina, you get good wrestling for the most part. But then it's not backed up with a good story. And I don't mean it has to be like over the top, like Impact is, Impact sent Allie to hell with the Sinister Minister and Rosemary and all that stuff. The WWE doesn't have to do that. But think about it in this way. UFC fight, main event. You plug the main event by showing these videos. The two guys have beef on Twitter. They cut promos on each other just like the WWE used to do. It made it feel important because it made it feel personal. These two guys don't like each other. They're settling it in the fucking octagon. That's what the UFC took that. They stole their entire brand from the Attitude Era with the music, and everybody has their own entrance song and entrance video, and they're starting feuds on Twitter and they're cutting promos, and it's all very pro wrestling. And pro wrestling lost that somewhere along the line. And I don't know where we lost it. At the very base of it, it should be one person against another person or a team against a team. They have an issue and they're settling it in the ring. And the idea of even something simple like stealing somebody's girlfriend or, you know, you shit in my duffel bag. I don't know. It doesn't have to be earth-shattering. Brock Lesnar holds the title for 6 years and nobody can topple him. It could be, you know, Ryback keyed my car and now we're going to have a match. You know, it could just, you know, something to get heat between two guys. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be, you know, NWA, Baby Doll. You're feuding over Baby Doll. Something like that. So that's my.
I'm curious to see how things are going to change when they officially start on Fox, because they're already being listed on the lineup for the fall.
For 2 hours, thank God.
Right. Well,
Fox
they had said that they weren't going to. They said they weren't going to do more than that for SmackDown.
Yeah. I feel like the rumors about SmackDown being more sports-like are accurate. I think having the UFC on Fox for like the last 10 years has influenced the way that Fox presents their combat sports. Aside from the fact that Fox Sports has great sports production anyway, with baseball and football and all that. They're probably going to bring in Daniel Cormier to do commentary, and he doesn't have to be around all the time. He could just come in and out. That's fine. Don't overexpose the guy. He's a fucking UFC world heavyweight champion. Don't overexpose him. Having somebody like that lends credibility to the commentary. That's why I like having a former wrestler or former manager on commentary, which I think we need to get back to. I think the only one that's left that's a former wrestler is Corey Graves, as far as commentators go, right? Percy Watson just quit this week.
Yeah. Do you know anything behind that? That seemed pretty subtle.
All I saw is exploring other opportunities. Of course, you know, the same old thing. But he's got connections. Like he was in what's that Childish Gambino TV show? Atlanta? Something like that. He was on that show. Like he's got real world TV connections, and he's had like bit parts in movies and TV shows. So maybe with this big push for programming that focuses on people of color, Empire and the like, maybe he's got an opportunity in television where he's going to be a character on a new show. We really, you know, that would be my guess. Would be he's trying to get some kind of TV audition that he wouldn't otherwise be able to get with the WWE schedule.
Right.
But I just, you know, there's things that they have to do to make the commentary more credible, because the whole thing, it just, when you watch it, it seems artificial. The commentary, oh, it's the big dog, it's boss time.
Well, just remember though, they got Vince McMahon chirping in their ears the entire time, so a lot of what's being said on commentary is coming directly from him, which is
right, and it's all very on brand. And that was the other thing that people. I read a comment, and I'm glad
it just doesn't sound authentic anymore.
No, because someone wrote this on Reddit.
Another big thing is, like, if you're not at the show and you're just strictly watching on television, the commentary is a huge impact on what you're watching. And
100%.
Going all the way back to fucking Gordon Soley and JR and Tony Schiavone.
And Monsoon. They used to tell stories, man.
Right. They would still commentate on the match. They would have their little asides, and they'd talk about something, this, that, you know, somebody say a joke. Will you stop? Will you be? But they'd go back to the match and they talk about the match.
They would be talking about other storylines
And how they, yeah.
You know, while that match was going on and still be able to call that match. And you're right. And that's when you would get a lot of the banter back and forth between Heenan and Gorilla. I mean, they were such a great pair. And that's why Lawler and Jim Ross were such a great pair, especially early on when Lawler was really the heel commentator and, you know, then it was good old JR. So, you know, I agree. I totally agree with what you're saying. There's just no authenticity anymore. You know, as much as I have not liked a lot of what the guy does, Morella has grown on me, and I can't believe I'm saying it, but we need more guys like him because you feel the passion when he's calling a match. You know, the guy is jumping out of his seat more than the crowd is.
Morrow?
Yeah.
He
You know,
makes it seem important.
what did I say?
Know?
Did I not say Morrow?
You called him Morella, which is
that's the referee. My apologies, Morrow. Yeah, he's grown on me, and I appreciate him because he's not just a commentator; he's a true fan, and you can see it and you can hear it every time he calls a match. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's more enthusiastic than sometimes the crowd, and he's just. We need more of him. I mean, not for nothing. If you put him in Cole's place when Cole, because listen, Cole's on his way out, or at least that's everything we've been hearing for quite some time. So put Morrow in that spot. I don't know if Morrow can handle it. I don't know what they're
how old is I can't get a read on how old that fucking guy is though.
Does it matter though?
Well, no, but what I'm saying is he, if Michael Cole's looking to retire at his age, you know what I mean? How much longer do you expect?
Well, yeah, but Michael Cole
has been doing it. Yeah.
Right. I mean, he's
not been in the voice for so long.
But he's been on the WWE train. He's been on that travel schedule for God, what? I mean, over
20 plus years.
I was going to say it was over 15 years. So, you know, I could see it. And he's probably financially in a position now where he can take a step back and retire, you know, and if need be, I'm sure WWE would find a position for him, know, whether it be talent or, you know, performance center, you know, how to train future commentators or managers or, you know, I mean, because, you know, if you can do commentary, you can be a manager, you know, and being a manager, you just have to really learn how to take the everyday typical bumps, nothing crazy, but you just need to learn how to take a bump and get thrown out of the ring. And, you know, the rest is pretty much, you know, you just being a mouthpiece, which is what you're doing on commentary. So I think that would be a great role for him, but I'm sure, you know, again, being with WWE as long as he's had, I'm sure at this point, he's probably financially in a place where he does not have to work.
I would imagine. And he was in network news before that. So, you know, he wasn't exactly strapped for cash when he started. I mean, not that a local news guy makes a ton, but he was in like Waco and he went overseas and was a war correspondent. So, I mean, he had to be making pretty good money doing that. And I'm for damn sure would rather be calling wrestling matches rather than going over to the Middle East.
But I think that's something that would seriously help the Raw or SmackDown brand is put Morrow on that stage. I think he would get
somebody that gets the crowd, gets you excited.
Even something that we're like, oh, this shit again or whatever. He could make it where you're like, all right, that wasn't so bad because he makes the matches better because of his enthusiasm. You know,
yeah. Well, and it's, I mean, listen, it's all real simple booking stuff. You want a guy on commentary or multiple people on commentary that get you excited about the product. I really like Renee. I like Renee when she's a backstage interviewer. She is not cut out for this commentary.
Nah, you know what? Here's what I'll say. Renee, I think they don't give her the opportunity to do what she can do. I think she's very scripted, and I think she's very like, this is your cue. Like, I don't think she's really allowed to improvise much. When she was at the table before pay-per-views doing that round table, that was her show.
Yeah.
She dictated
talking smack.
You know, right, exactly. She dictated the pace. She dictated, you know, so I'm sure she had some direction from the back, but, you know, for the most part, she was able to have a voice. And I think now with Cole and Graves, two big personalities, she gets lost in the shuffle. And I think if they loosened up the reins a little bit I think she could be better than she is. So I agree with you. I don't necessarily think it's her fault.
Yeah, that's true. But what I'm saying is, you need people that, like you said, like Mara, to get you excited about the matches. But then also the matches.
And look how far I've come, people. If you're an avid listener of this show, you have known for the better part of a couple of years how much I've hated the guy because I couldn't stand him on commentary.
Yes.
And I have grown to seriously appreciate him and become a fan of his because, he just, I love the enthusiasm and the passion. That's what it's all about. It's about the passion. And I think it's sad to hear that some of us are losing the passion, not so much in wrestling, but in the WWE, because WWE was the passion. And I think, it's going to come back. I have to believe that. And I think it will. And I think the Fox deal, I think, is going to only help the situation.
I hope that's the case, because I mean, it should force them to be on top of their game to not get canceled by Fox, who cancels anything at the drop of a hat. They
just canceled Star and Empire. I mean, those were two of their biggest shows. Empire, they announced it was renewed, and then they canceled it. So Fox,
they gave it another season, but then they're like, no.
I was going to say, wow, those are hit shows.
Yeah,
Empire. Yeah, we're very upset about it, but I'm hoping maybe Netflix, like Designated Survivor and some other shows, I'm hoping maybe
they did that for Lucifer as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that'd be good.
But listen, it's almost 1:45, and we did have some questions come into the mailbox, and
I'm excited for this.
I'm sure Amanda got some. If it's all right, I'll start because I haven't pulled up, and there's one that I think is going to take a little discussion, which I assume is what Eric's excited about. So this was a question from Andre in New Mexico. He's sent us messages before. So Andre, thank you so much for the question as always, and of course you'll be entered into the Pickem contest for a free entry into the WrestleRumble Money in the Bank Pickem, which is that announcement will be made shortly because it's this Sunday. Hey guys, name a heel turn that broke your heart the most. I'm sorry. Name a heel turn that broke your heart the most, and name a heel turn that you marked out to the most. So I'm going to start. The heel turn that broke my heart was Hulk Hogan turning heel on Savage in WCW. And the one that I marked out to the most was Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That one when he turned on The Rock with Vince McMahon?
Yeah.
Holy wow, you liked that. You were one of the few.
I loved it because I didn't see it coming, and they got me, and I appreciated it, and I loved Austin no matter what. He could have been a face, a heel, a janitor. He could have been giving out the hot dogs. I was an Austin guy. He could do no wrong. It didn't matter to me. So that was a big one. But the one that broke my heart was Hogan. That as a kid. But it's funny because it wound up being the one that broke my heart, and at the same time made me fall in love with him all over again because he was so great as a heel, and he was so great with the NWO, and and I loved him as a heel. I loved Hollywood, so it was very bittersweet for me.
Yeah, Eric.
Yeah, this is why I was interested in this question, because Steve's one about the one that broke his heart is the one that I popped for the most, is the Hogan turn. Because I was the opposite, because I was like getting sick of Hogan by that point, and the regurgitated babyface bullshit after, and especially in WCW the way they did it, and it was so refreshing. But I'd say, but the one that broke my heart though, I would go back a few years before that, Shawn Michaels turning on Marty Jannetty.
That's a good one.
At the very least, a shocking one or an impactful one.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because mine both come from around the same time. The one that broke my heart, not really broke my heart, but the one that disappointed me the most was when they had Kurt Angle turn heel
to feud with John Cena and put him over a bunch of times, and he lost every single match against John Cena. And he came out and said he hated Jesus and the troops, and he had Davari with him, and like he all of a sudden he was like, you know, an Iraqi sympathizer. He was like like a Sergeant Slaughter turning heel. Only he said, you know, Kurt Angle said he hated Jesus and the troops, which was just like wow. And people still cheered him. And that was the other fucked up thing, was that this was in that period of a decade or so where John Cena would get booed and everybody else would get cheered really hard. So they still cheered for Kurt, and he was doing his damnedest to try and turn heel. And it just wasn't taken because people wanted to boo John Cena. Conversely, I think the heel turn that I popped the most for was fucking Edge. When he became the rated R superstar, like I already liked Edge.
Superstar.
Yeah, superstar. Yes, but it was, and Edge was a good wrestler. And,
Edge was awesome.
You know, you enjoyed Edge with the Brood, and when he broke off from, you know, and it was the Brood, and then it was Edge and Christian.
And he had that cool Rob Zombie song.
Yeah, Mama Durango. Yeah. So he did that.
Never gonna stop me.
But there was something missing. He was just white meat, babyface, Wonder Bread guy, Edge. And then he became the rated R superstar. And it was like that cemented him as a Hall of Famer. That run as a rated R superstar with all the title reigns and the ways that he was able to be the ultimate opportunist and
the Money in the Bank and all that, yeah.
Oh. And then turning it back around into babyface rated R superstar, which
that was good too.
How do you take the sleazy guy who had sex with his girlfriend on live TV and make him a babyface? And he did it. So yeah, that was the one that I was really excited for. You know, I was graduating high school and getting into college during Edge's big run there. So he was my guy. So that was the one that was just, you know, and again, he was going against John Cena. It was so easy to cheer Edge against John Cena in those days.
Oh yeah. Amanda, what about you?
I tend to mark out for like every heel turn. I'm always I like the bad guys in most situations.
She's
one
the
that
bad
broke
girl.
my heart. One that broke my heart. Oh, this is gonna be cheesy, but I'm also a big daddy's girl. So when Stephanie turned on Vince.
Oh, that's a good one.
That was a really good.
Yeah, that one got me.
Yeah, the McMahons certainly had their. I mean, they still do, but I mean, they had their period where they were the draw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Steph had the thing with Triple H. It's weird to look back and see Steph like wrestle Vince or Steph wrestle Triple H, and like they beat the shit out of her and stuff. Like it's really weird to see.
And then a few months later, Vince ended up siding with them anyway when he turned on The Rock.
Yeah, but hey,
I got one that's like kind of like it's more of like just for laughs, but it's kind of a heartbreaker in a way. When Duggan turned heel, joined Team Canada, and not even that.
Oh, that was horrible.
He shaves his fucking beard. That was the most.
Oh, okay.
Thing.
Yes, you know what? That's
he
a bad
shaved
one.
his hair off too, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was the most heartbreaking thing of the whole thing.
He looked like Fred Flintstone. Like what the fuck? Never do that again. And he never did.
That was the worst decision they ever made was to turn on Duggan heel.
Yep. I mean, well, listen, you're talking about WCW in like 1999 or 2000. They had some pretty bad ideas. That was definitely up there. That was way up there, though. I liked that Team Canada, but I did not like Duggan as part of it.
Lance Storm was the man back.
Yeah, exactly. The Saskatchewan Hardcore International title.
What was the other questions?
Yeah,
so another one was from WrestlingFanForLife@gmail.com.
Great name.
Do you think the ref dropped the ball on the Silver King passing? Now, we didn't talk about this, and it was a sad thing that happened. I did go back and watch the video, and I have to say, yeah, I think the referee dropped the ball. He didn't check on him. Even after the match, it was a good 15 to 30 seconds before the ref actually like called for people to come down. Yes, 100%. I think the ref dropped the ball, and I think there should be an investigation.
Yeah, it's first of all, that's such a shitty situation. Silver King. I mean, I was a big WCW guy growing up, and one of the things I really didn't mention during this discussion about Raw was WCW used to open up with the luchadors or the cruiserweights, and it wasn't a 20-minute long talking segment with Triple H or Vince McMahon, or any McMahon. It was a fucking wrestling match, and that got people excited to continue watching the show.
And he was a part of many of those.
And Silver King was one of the guys I remember. I mean, you remember him and Super Calo, and That's Not Cyclope, and El Dandy. Guys like that. You remember their gimmicks. You remember the masks. You remember the moves. I know El Dandy didn't have a mask to go through here, but Silver King was always in the mix, man. Always in the mix. With those cruiserweight matches, I remember. I had a lot of good memories of him. He played fucking Ramses. That was his gimmick that he adopted from the Nacho Libre movie. He started wrestling in real life as Ramses because he got cast in that movie, and that made him an even bigger star in Mexico. So it's a tragic situation. If you've watched it, you don't have to. It is a video of a person dying, literally, and.
Well, Facebook did a good job because a lot of the posts, it was protected unless you hit a button to activate it, which I thought was pretty cool.
It's eerily similar to the Perro Aguayo Jr. thing from a few years back.
Right. He just
those assholes that blamed Ray on the thing.
Right. It was an accumulation, like anything with an athlete in a combat sport, an accumulation of blows to the head or the neck or the whatever, or the lungs, the liver, the ribs, the heart, whatever gives out, and that's a picture wrap, But it's a terrible tragedy. I honestly, I think those guys in the moment didn't know what they could have been in such shock that it's because Hoovy tried to turn him over and pin him and end the match. And then the fucking ref tried to count, and he counted like 2 and then held his hand up like he wasn't going to count the 3, waiting for the guy to kick out, but he's dead. So he finally counted the pinfall. It's an odd situation. Should they look into it? Yes. Do I know, in the moment what each of those guys are thinking? No, but because there's a part of them that you are putting on a performance, you want to finish the match. I get
Silver
that.
King, he's also wrestling royalties. He's the son of the legendary Dr. Wagner.
Yes.
The brother of Dr. Wagner Jr. and a good tag team partner of Tejano from, I know him more from Lucha Underground, but.
Yeah, Tejano's, I like him a lot too. Yeah, it was a big loss for the Lucha community.
For
Mexico,
the wrestling community,
yeah. And for it to happen as kind of a fluke at some match in London or wherever the hell they were in England, I mean, it's very strange.
Bischoff had some really nice things to say about Silver King.
Well, that's good. He usually doesn't have very nice things to say about people, so it's good to hear that he's had nice things.
But he was one of the main reasons why the cruiserweights were a success for him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Got to put Silver King up there in the discussion.
Yeah. So,
Amanda, did you have any?
I had one. Yes. Hold on. What's better, getting a solid Smackdown live tonight or rewatching last night's Firefly Fun House for 2 hours?
We won't be able to tell you that until after SmackDown ends.
SmackDown's been pretty solid.
It has been, yeah.
It's always been better to me.
It's definitely been a better show than Raw has been lately. That's true.
They always felt a little like guys who get moved to SmackDown always wrestle with a chip on their shoulder because they feel like they're being demoted to the B show, and then it's like, well, I'll show you what the fucking B show is. I'm going to wrestle my balls off, and it always happens. They moved to SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean,
and
we got to see Andrade versus Ali last week.
Yeah, and that wouldn't. It should happen on Raw, and it should probably open the show.
Yeah,
but it won't.
So
and that's why SmackDown.
See I'm interested to see how they do with Cedric on Raw, because he's going to get an opportunity now.
Good. Yeah, he's a guy. I'm glad they promoted him from the purgatory that is 205 Live. As long as they use him.
Yeah.
And it seems like they are. He's another guy that you put him in the opening match against. Fucking pick somebody. Finn Balor. I don't care. You put him in the ring with somebody that can go, and you let him go. And the story, if you don't have a story, the story is these two guys are up and comers, and they're in the opening match, and they got to win this match to get another match.
Yeah.
And then if they win that match, maybe they'll get another match, and then maybe they'll get a number one contenders match, and maybe they'll get a title shot. That's a story for somebody. That's how any athlete moves up the ranks. You got to win. And that would be like a nice little side thing to do if they wrote the story correctly. But hey, we talked about that for an hour.
Well, we got 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So Smackdown Live.
Yes. Do we have any updates we need to give regarding our app that's available in both the Google Play Store and the iTunes iOS store?
We are working on a current issue with the 10 Max. So bear with us. We are working with the developers to figure out a couple glitches. There has also been a photo issue that I've noticed. If you try to change your profile picture or wallpaper, it will change. And then next time you go to log in, it's defaulted again. So we are in the process of working that out as well. There will be a patch coming soon. But other than that, it is fully functional. Check it out. And, it's completely free now. So find somebody, the more people you tell, the more people to download it, the more people that are on it, more people that are using it. It just gets better and better. And it's downloading really well right now. So.
Well, there you go. It's the Tag Me a Date app, again, in the Google Play Store and in the iTunes iOS App Store. It's free, so there's no reason for you to not get it and try it out. What else is there to say? There's a roster of over 75,000 superstars and divas where you can find your tag team match, and you can search by your favorite wrestler, your favorite pay-per-view event. Lots of other metrics that you can search by or put in your profile. You can search by location to find somebody nearby, or maybe you're traveling and you want to check out who's available in the area to where you're traveling to. Are you going to a pay-per-view? Are you going to Money in the Bank in Hartford on the 19th this Sunday? Put in the zip code, and I'm not going to give you the Hartford zip code. I'll figure out yourselves. Put in the zip code. See who's around the Hartford area. Maybe they want to go to the pay-per-view. Who knows? TagMeADate.com also works on, if you don't want to download an app or you don't like the smartphone thing, you go on your laptop or your PC, you go to TagMeADate.com. It'll also work in your browser on your cell phone, TagMeADate.com. No spaces, no dots or dashes. TagMeADate.com is all one. TagMeADate is all one word. That's the same as our social media, our Instagram and our Twitter at TagMeADate. No spaces. Where you can submit to us questions using hashtag AskTheWarReport. We'll read them live on air. And if you win, you get entered into our pay-per-view Pickem contest, where one lucky question asker gets a pay-per-view Pickem entry from WrestleRumble.com. We'll decide that before Sunday's pay-per-view. Keep an eye out on your emails or your social media if you did, in fact, submit a question to us. That includes ones that we didn't read on the air. We do try and read all of them, but if one, slipped by, you're still in our inbox. So, and you're still in our app mentions, and you would be considered for the drawing. So never fear. Subscribe to YouTube. You're already listening, so go ahead. Go to the YouTube channel. You go to youtube.com. You type in Tag Me a Date in the search bar. Tag Me a Date, no spaces, squish it all together. You hit the subscribe button. You hit the bell to be notified when we go live or upload a new video. And we go live Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. on Eastern Time. Adjust your clocks accordingly. You can go through our YouTube channel to see past videos. You can see Hector's guest appearance from last week. And I was off last week, so that was nice that they had somebody to come in and make a guest appearance in my absence. I'll be going to check that one out too. And yeah, you can check out our whole archive of shows. I believe they're on SoundCloud now as well. You can look for Tag Me a Date on SoundCloud. I believe it's also Tag Me a Date. I think that's about it. Download the app, visit the site, subscribe to YouTube, follow the social media. I think we covered it all. We'll be back next Tuesday, 7 p.m. on Eastern Time. Thank you for listening.